Okay, let's move on to notes receivables, the other part of Chapter 8. So accounts receivables usually has a shorter lifetime compared to notes receivables. Usually accounts receivables are due within a month or a month and a half, but notes receivables could be made for a number of months or even a year or even more than a year, right? It could be a short-term note if it has a lifetime less than a year. It could be a long-term note if it has a lifetime longer than a year. So really it depends on the two parties, depends on their agreement. If my company decides to lend money out to another person, we talk about the time frame and we both agree on a year period, then this would be a year long of notes receivables. Okay? Some companies may decide to make sales to customer and they agree on also signing notes receivable instead of accounts receivable. This will give customer longer time to pay back the money, but also it would involve interest. Okay, so the main difference for notes receivables and accounts receivables is that this is more official in terms of they have an official promissory note document that both parties' name will be on it, and also interest will be involved for these cases. So notes receivables always, later on when your company is collecting the money, you're not just collecting the original amount, but also a portion of the interest based on how long the note's lifetime is. Okay, so for this case here, we'll try to understand this promissory note here. You see the principal amount is $1,000, meaning this is, for example, in this case here is that Greg's Tune is the company lending out money to this customer called Holland, $1,000, on the date September 30th, 2014. Okay, so September 30th, 2014 on the right-hand side is the date this transaction happened. And the dollar amount that Greg's Tune is lending out to others is $1,000. So that $1,000 is called a principal amount. Principal amount is other than interest. Okay? Interest is added to principal amount. Together it becomes maturity value. Oops, sorry. So you have principal amount, just the original money that the creditor loaned out to others, or the original amount of the inventory's worth if you're trying to make sales to customer. Then you add interest. This will give you the total maturity value. Okay, maturity value at the end is the total amount that debtor needs to pay back to creditor, including principal amount plus the total amount of interest. Okay, so can anybody tell me how will we be able to calculate interest here? Do you find percentages information here? Interest percentage. 6%. And this is an annual rate of interest, meaning that if you look at this promissory note here, right-hand side is the day that we created it, 2014. This is the due date, maturity date of the note, meaning the final date for this debtor to pay back to creditor the amount of money of $1,000 plus 6% of interest is a year later, September 30th, 2015. So this is a one-year note, and this one-year note is based upon $1,000, the principal amount that Greg's Tune lent out to others, and also 6% of interest Greg's Tune later on will be collecting from Holland customer. Okay, so the 1,000 plus 1,000 times 6% will be the total maturity value here. 6%, we'll need this 6% to times principal amount. So 6% times 1,000 will give you how much? $60, right? So the total maturity value here will be $1,060. This is the amount that Greg's Tunes will be collecting on 2015, September 30th. Okay, this is a simple example. Later on we'll go into other time frames. Different time frames will have a different way to calculate interest.